Good day, Janesville, and our listeners all across Rock County. Welcome back to Hypothetically Speaking, the weekly broadcast where local news meets civic responsibility and where informed voices spark real change. I'm your host, Rich Gruber, and you're listening to The Pulse of Janesville and Rock County, brought to you by the Rock County Civics Academy. Today is Friday, June 27th, 2025, and as summer settles in, so too does the urgency of the moment. Local governments are sprinting into July under pressure, state leaders are gridlocked, and ordinary residents, yes, you and I, are being called to step up, speak out, and shape what's coming next. Let's get into it. The Janesville City Council returns from its June recess on Monday, July 14th at 6 p.m., and the possible agenda that they should face is anything but routine. This is not business as usual. This is a test of leadership, priorities, and the will to act when it matters most. Let's start with the Woodman Center liquor license debacle. When the city decided to firewall itself from selling liquor directly at the soon-to-open Sports and Convention Center, it looked good on paper. A third-party management deal with Sports Facility Management was approved in June, all in the name of legal compliance and keeping optics clean. But behind the scenes, it triggered a bureaucratic storm. Now the city's management partner needs to submit liquor license applications to the state and locally by July 15th, and those applications may conflict. If the Wisconsin Department of Revenue rejects the liquor license because of an unplanned technicality, we're looking at a costly delay in operations at the flagship facility. Now, this is not just a technicality. It's a potential disaster of planning and foresight. The kind of problem that makes the public ask, who's steering the ship? And while the council scrambles to clean up that mess, the mid-year budget review presents a chance to actually invest in our community's future. But that, too, comes with weighty decisions and moral clarity. Consider this. The Boys and Girls Club is staring down nearly $1 million in remediation costs to clean up contamination at their future youth center. Site contamination on land conveyed by the city itself. Where's the urgency? Where's the financial support? If the council can find money for paving, consultants, and pet projects, surely it can rally to protect the health and promise of our children. Then there's the slow neglect of places like Oak Hill Cemetery, where basic needs like restrooms and storage that remains unmet. Or at the youth sports complex, still in need of better lighting and playable turf. These are not luxuries. These are fundamentals of public space and youth development. And yet somehow we're still leaving JATV, our public access media outlet, dangling with minimal funding and minimum recognition, despite its irreplaceable role in government transparency and local storytelling. And what about the GM-JATCO site? A once vital engine of our city's economy? It now sits as a hulk, a question mark, a vacuum of vision. What is the plan? Who's leading it? Or are we simply waiting, again, for someone else to decide our future? But maybe the most damaging silence is around public participation. The fiasco around the Wall Street housing project, where decisions were made in a haze of confusion and closed-door processes, exposed just how fragile our local democracy has become. Residents deserve clarity. They deserve a voice. Instead, they're getting procedural fog and perfunctory notices. Let's be clear, this isn't just a lapse. It's a failure of democratic accountability. This council session is a moment of truth, a test, a crossroads. Will our elected leaders rise to meet the challenge, or will they once again retreat behind process, delay, and deflection? The time for half measures is over. The community is not just watching, it's waiting. And frankly, the patience is running thin. It's not all gloom. Amid the gridlock and uncertainty, one bright spark shines in downtown Janesville, the groundbreaking of the Children's Museum of Rock County. Rising from the empty shell of the Chase Bank on West Milwaukee Street, this project has already raised $14.5 million, an incredible show of commitment, generosity, and grassroots willpower. And with a new executive director now steering the ship, this museum is more than a building. It's a symbol of what's possible. But let's not pretend this single success fixes the broader problem. Beyond this project, Janesville's civic momentum is sputtering. Sure, we celebrate mainstays like America's Dairyland Town Square Grand Prix, the Rock Aqua Jays, and the ever-popular Rotary Pie Ride. These are great traditions, but they aren't the future. They're the legacy. It begs the question, what comes next? Where are the new signature events that make Janesville a regional destination? Where are the visionary initiatives that draw people in, not just for a beer tent, but for inspiration, culture, and community? Too many so-called events these days are glorified social gatherings with alcohol as a main attraction. That's not enough. Our civic culture deserves more. It demands more. If Janesville wants to compete and not just survive, we need to channel our energy into more than ribbon cuttings. It's time to challenge ourselves to think bigger, dream harder, and plan better. The Children's Museum proves we can do it. Now let's prove that we can do it again. Now let's shift to the state level. Wisconsin's budget deadline is June 30, and all signs point to a showdown. Despite assurances from Speaker Assembly Robin Vos that progress is happening behind closed doors, well, the Senate led by Devin LeMahieu remains unconvinced. The holdup, Governor Evers' push for greater investments in child care, special education, and the UW system. But here's the kicker. When the state budget stalls, the effects don't stop at the Capitol. They reach every school, every city, and every tax-paying household. Wisconsin governments rely heavily on state aid. In fact, over 40% of their revenue comes from those sources. That means every day of delay in Madison creates confusion, caution, and gridlock here at home. Let's break it down. Schools can't make long-term plans without knowing their funding. Municipal budgets hang in the balance. Crucial reforms, from mental health in schools to infrastructure upgrades, they sit on ice. And worst of all, no one knows who's to blame. Accountability blurs, cynicism grows, and civic trust erodes. But there's an opportunity here too. Let's use this as a teaching moment for students, for voters, and for future leaders. Let's teach how a budget works, why state and local governments are intertwined, and why compromise still matters in a democracy. Credit where it's due. The Milton School District is stepping up. They've introduced a $65 million preliminary budget, and more importantly, they're bringing the public along for the ride. On July 15 at 6:30 p.m., they'll host their first ever school finance roadmap session, helping residents understand how state decisions shape local school funding. This event isn't just useful, it's a model. It's a blueprint, a show of respect for the community. More school districts should follow suit, because when people understand where the money goes and how it's spent, they're more likely to trust the process and get involved. Now let's head to Beloit, where the Community Development Authority is doing something that sounds radical these days, actually inviting the public into the process. They're creating their new federal grant year plan, and unlike Janesville, they're doing it with transparency, clarity, and structure. Their notices include purpose, service area descriptions, and how the public actually can help shape decisions. Imagine that. They're also making serious strides in affordable housing, proving that smart planning and community input can lead to real results. They've earned regional attention for doing just that. Beloit is proving that with intention, engagement, and courage, you can build systems that actually serve the people. It's perhaps time Janesville takes note and catches up. We pause today to honor the life of Betty Jo Bussey, former clerk of court and longtime Rock County supervisor who passed away this past week. Betty Jo wasn't just a public servant. She was a force of good, a role model, a standard bearer for what government can be when it's grounded in decency, fairness, and grit. Her legacy lives on in the institution she helped strengthen and in the many, many, many lives she has touched. Rest in peace, Betty Jo, and thank you for all of your service to this community. Don't miss Newsmakers, our civic storytelling series that goes one-on-one with talks to people and things that shape our region. Recent guests have included the county public health officer talking about rising vaccine hesitancy, the principal of Milton High School launching a new civics practicum, a Janesville farmer who completed 7 marathons on 7 continents in 6 days. Wow. And leaders in business, nonprofits, education, and local government. Tune in on Fridays at 9:15 on WCLO. That radio is the happening thing on Friday mornings with Tim Bremmel. Fridays at 9:30 a.m. on JATV, channel 994, or anytime on YouTube. Just search Rock County Civics Academy. Today's Community Spotlight shines on Havana Coffee at 1250 Milton Avenue. It's where espresso meets engagement and where the conversations that matter take shape. If you haven't stopped by, make it a plan. What if transparency were the norm? What if informed engagement was the hallmark of Rock County? What if you decide to be the change? That's the mission of Hypothetically Speaking, staying curious, staying involved, and above all, staying loud. Our call to leadership: every advancement in our community begins with someone choosing to act. If you've asked yourself, when's the right time to get involved? Well, the answer might just be now. There's a lot of ways to contribute. Volunteer with a civic group. Apply to serve on a local board or commission. You can always run for public office and lead the change. If not me, who? If not now, when? Hypothetically speaking, what if transparency was standard in local government? What if civic engagement became Rock County's defining strength? Well, that's the mission of Hypothetically Speaking. And with your voice in the mix, it's a lot closer to reality than ever. Stay engaged with the Rock County Civics Academy. Visit us at our website, rockcountycivicsacademy.org. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Join our Substack newsletter at substack.com, keywords Rock County Civics Academy. Until next time, I'm Rich Gruber, and this has been the Pulse of Janesville and Rock County. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay connected, because you will make a difference.